what is up guys, welcome back to Live from Nerds. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm going to be discussing a watch that I got recently. This watch, it's not mine. This watch actually belonged to my grandfather. He bought it in recent years, but I wanted to actually take a look at it. It is a Seiko. I want to take a look at it, show you guys the watch, give you a little bit of information about it, but also just show you some of the things that come with it, and it's cool. This watch was purchased in 2012, so it's not historical or by any means, but it's definitely very special to me because it belonged to my grandfather. So this is the box that it comes in. It's a simple Seiko box. You can see Seiko written right there. Very simple watch. And this watch is, like I said, belongs to my grandfather. He purchased it in 2012. And it has the booklet that it comes with, and the watch here. It's actually the caliber 3M62. This is part of their Kenetic Seiko line. So this is the watch, and it is a little bit scratched on the dial, but this is what the watch looks like. It's kind of got that 70s quite smooth edges shape to it. The bracelet's actually extremely interesting. Like I said, this is the caliber 3M62. It's part of their Kenetic line. If you don't know about their Kenetic line, this is actually a battery-powered watch. So it's a quartz-powered watch movement. However, it does have a rotor that actually charges the battery at the same time. So it's actually kind of like a automatic quartz watch, which is funny. This watch, like I said, the red hand is actually the power reserve indicator, and then it has a date at 3 o'clock, and then that little button at the top at 2 o'clock actually allows you to figure out how much power reserve you actually have left. Screw down crown, and it has this really nice, not too much wiggle on the bezel of the watch. I don't actually know how many clicks it is or positions it is, but it's very nice. It also just sounds beautiful. Just listen. Yeah, this is part, like I said, part of their Kenetic line. So it's a battery-powered watch, but as you move it, you can probably hear the rotor. As you move it, it actually adds energy to the battery, and then you use this button up here to indicate how much power reserve you actually have left. It's a cool watch. I think it's a cool take on quartz. The gear ratio for the crown and the hands is pretty standard. It's nothing too crazy. But yeah, it's an interesting watch. Bracelet's actually extremely comfortable. I've put it on a couple times and played around with it. And it has 10 bars of water resistance, so you can actually swim with it. It also has a loom, which is very consistent with Seiko watches. This is the booklet. This is the booklet that came with the watch, and I'll show you where it talks about. So if you look here, it talks about how, power reserve accumulates as you walk, and then it also talks about how you have a power reserve indicator, and how if it moves a specific amount of time, that's how much power reserve you actually have. So I thought that was an interesting little thing here. But yeah, have the box papers with it as well. Something that also comes with this watch is some paperwork that he actually kept. My grandfather's passed away, so that's why it's with my family now. So there was a couple papers that came with this watch that I thought were very interesting. The first one here, and I'm not going to show you this because it has some personal details on it, but this is the order for it, and it was actually purchased off of Amazon in 2012. He lived in the United States, and what was interesting is he actually purchased this from a UK seller. So he actually paid pounds for this, which I thought was an interesting little thing. So he must have really liked this specific watch. I wish I spoke to him about it, but it is what it is. But he must have really wanted this specific watch, and to have the specific white dial, and yeah. So that was interesting. The next piece of paper that came with it was this letter. This was to a service center where he sent this watch, and he had the battery replaced. And he actually has so it has a letter, and it basically writes some information about on what specific day he sent it to the jeweler, and that it was still under warranty and that he needed it repaired. He signed the letter as well, and then at the bottom of the letter there's actually a receipt stamp. So it says the company that ended up receiving this letter actually said that they had received it. So that was the second letter. And then the third one here is a invoice, and this was an invoice from the company who repaired the watch. This was an invoice that has what the what the change was, which was simply a battery fix, and yeah, it's signed by the salesman. So it was cool to have these three pieces of paper with the watch. If I'm being honest, I remember him wearing this watch. I remember seeing it on his wrist, and I remember seeing it on his wrist and not really thinking too much about it. So I didn't really know that it would have this type of paperwork, or he had issues with it. I thought that was quite cool. I guess this watch is really significant to me because if you know, I'm actually the fourth Norbert in my family. He's the second Norbert, and this belonged to him. So obviously the legacy of this watch in my family is going to be important, especially with the name that I have. I also think it's cool because I remember him wearing this watch. There's probably pictures that I can find of him wearing this watch on his wrist, and me seeing it and not really thinking twice about it. And then now I'm really into watches, and I've become not an expert by any means. I don't think you're ever an expert in something, but for sure quite knowledgeable about it. Yeah, I kind of wish I was able to talk to him about it. I mean, the watch itself is it's a little scratched. It's scratched on the dial, and there's some things on the case, but I think it's a good representation of my grandfather. He worked hard. He was interested in a lot of different things, and it's supposed to, a Seiko, this specific Seiko is supposed to get you last through and be able to take a little bit of a beating, and I think it definitely did that. It's a little big for me if I put it on. I have smaller wrists, so it's but I probably have to take out probably about four lugs in order to have it fit me. But I'm definitely going to keep it, and I think it's an important part of the watch collection that I'd like to build. Yeah, it's cool. I think I'm going to talk about some other interesting watches that are kind of like this one that I have in my possession. I think that would be a cool thing to do. But I wanted to talk about this watch because it's a Seiko, and I think everyone should be aware of what Seiko can produce. It's not a common reference that you find on people's wrists. The Kenetic. Most people are talking about SKXs or SARBs, but this one's cool. And I think if you don't know the Kenetic line, definitely check it out, because it was I previously didn't know about it, and I did some research and found out some very interesting things. It makes some cool looking watches too, so you might as well check it out. It came with the outer shell as well, which I thought was very much like my grandfather, to keep all the original parts. So I thought that was cool. I hope you guys liked kind of hearing about my grandfather's watch. It's a special watch to me, and it's a unique Seiko that you don't see very often. I think watches from our families are historically significant for us, but also important to the makeup of who we are. And they have some very good stories with them. So, I mean, I remember being in a swimming pool in Basel and him wearing this watch, and he was swimming with us at the same time. Like, I remember that clearly. A special watch and some good memories with it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you didn't do it in the beginning video, and I didn't tell you this time, but be sure to hit that like button for the story of my grandfather Seiko. Also, if you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time.